How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Oceans Reviews here today. So today I had a fun sort of video idea that I wanted to bring to you guys, and a topic that I kind of wanted to discuss. I had this sort of subject bouncing around in my head for a little while, and it's something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It's what would you guys consider the essential films that need to be in your collection? So what movies do you think every collector needs to own, or everyone that needs to have watched this movie at least once, in their lifetime? So I was thinking about what movies would really fit this criteria. I'm talking about these movies needed to be 100% at least masterpieces in my mind. So the stack of movies that I've picked out, I feel like fit this criteria. And I've kind of wanted to at least introduce these movies to maybe newcomers to sort of, movie watching or Blu-ray collecting in general. But I'd also like to bring this sort of topic of discussion, to you guys, the regular viewers that come to my channel and watch my videos about, what would you think would fall under this criteria? What movies are essential to your collection that you think are a must own or a must watch, and you just, you stand by them and you live and die by them. And I've picked out a stack of movies that I believe they fit this criteria. There's going to be a few movies in here that are probably missing, and I know there's a lot of great films out there, but these are the ones that I feel like deserve to be under this sort of category. So we're going to go through them. I'd like to see you guys, participate, I guess, in the comments down below, and let me know what you think about my stack of movies, I guess, that I'm going to show you now. And also, I'd love to see what you guys would put, in this criteria, in this sort of category, if you will. So first movie off the bat, this movie is just, I consider, one of the best movies of all time, and that is Scarface. This film is amazing. I love Scarface. It's just, Al Pacino is so good. I love his personality in this, just the way he handles himself in this film. He's just so memorable. I mean, he's just so memorable in this film. You know how this guy has just been with us for years just after this film. It's just been just with us for ages, for decades, since it, came out. It's just been a film that's been with us forever, all the posters and stuff of just him with his M16. I feel like it's a movie that does fit in the category for an essential viewing, an essential movie that you need in your collection. Scarface, I feel like, is an incredible film. It's a masterpiece, and it's one of the best films of all time. I love it. I love it dearly. It holds a special place in my heart, that film. I absolutely love it. Now, next film I'm going to be talking about, it's a part of this double feature, but I feel like it's a great film, and I feel like it does fit in this category, and that is The Departed. So, there's Blood Diamond here as well. I guess it's like a Leonardo DiCaprio sort of double pack. But The Departed, I feel like this film is great. The performances are great. I feel like they're just next to perfect, in my opinion. In my mind, I see it that way with this film. The acting is on point. Just the cast in this film is so good. It's just such a great story. It's really enjoyable. It's super engaging, and I feel like it just doesn't have any faults with it. I feel like it's just a perfect film in my opinion. And The Departed. Now, here's a movie I wanted to add to the list. I wanted to add at least one of these movies to the list, at least one anime, if you will, title, and that is Spirited Away. This film is a classic. It's also a masterpiece in my opinion, and I know a lot of people would agree with me that this film is definitely one of the best films of all time. It's just so magical, such a fun-loving story, lovable characters. It's just an enjoyable world to get sucked into and just have so much fun with. And I feel like it's just such an incredible film that has no faults, yet again. And it's just such a good film. And arguably, it's the best. I'd say it is the best Studio Ghibli film, of course, and the best animated anime film of all time. Everyone needs to watch this at least once and own it, I think, in my opinion. Such a great film. Spirited Away. Now, another film. This film is just so wonderful. It's so good. And that's The Green Mile. This is definitely a movie that falls under the category. And I know you guys would definitely, agree, with me. Tom Hanks is amazing. Just such great performances in this. The story is it's just incredible. Like, I don't even know what I can say about this film other than that. It's just amazing. It's one that I haven't revisited in a long time, which I feel bad about because I know it's so good, and it's one that I kind of want to refresh my memory of. But The Green Mile is definitely a must-own in the collection. Now we've got one movie of a franchise that we all know and love, except the latest sort of addition to the franchise, and that is the first Jurassic Park film. Like, you can't go wrong with this film. It's Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is just an amazing film. It's just, nothing compares. But I feel like, to be honest, the second film does compare to it a bit. I feel like this movie builds up the idea of the dinosaurs to you. It gives you that idea. It gives you the the first taste of what's to come. And then we get the second film, which is a bit more action-packed, and it's not really introducing you to the dinosaurs and the experience, I suppose. But this film is definitely a masterpiece, and it's a must-own in everyone's collection. And I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me so. But yeah, Steelbook there. And then we've got Back to the Future. Come on. Back to the Future is so good. Even though I feel like the third movie is kind of lacking, but, the three films, I feel like I can't watch this series without, completing them all in one sitting. I feel like I can't just watch one Back to the Future film and be like, okay, that's cool. I have to watch them all, in one sitting, and they're just so good. They're just amazing. Amazing acting, just a fun, cool story, awesome, depiction of what, the future would be. I love the technology that's used. The 3D stuff in the movie. I love the second movie, I think. Yeah, the second movie. The second movie. And the hoverboard, the hover skateboard and things like that. It's just so good. It's such a great film. It's all three of them are. They're just amazing, and they're must-owns. I know I've actually noticed that there is separate releases of this one, so you can get the trilogy like I have. They're on 4K, pretty sure. Yeah, I think so, surely. And you can also get the separate releases, which a lot of people actually didn't think they did that, but I've seen them here in Australia. I've seen the third and the second film, on their own. So if you like to buy them that way. Now, here's a film that is arguably it's pretty close. It's arguably the best film of all time. I feel like it could be. It's not my favorite film of all time, but it's definitely arguably, from looking at it, it could be and that's Jaws. This film is just amazing. It's Jaws. Jaws is so good. It's probably the best Steven Spielberg film. I feel like it is. in my opinion. It's not my favorite Steven Spielberg film, but I feel like it is the best Steven Spielberg film. And it's just such a good film. Everyone needs to own and watch Jaws at least once, and I'm sure a lot of you have. But you know, I just wanted, you know, obviously this is the video, adding that to the list as well. I do like some of the sequels after that, even though a lot of people think they're garbage, but I think they're a bit of fun, and I haven't revisited them for a long time, which is probably a good thing. But now, another film that I have recently visited that I sort of never really, I guess, knew about it or never really thought to give it a go until now. And it's a part of a franchise that started to grow on me and sort of I've become really fond of. And I feel like it's a film that everyone needs to watch, especially if you're a thriller, cop thriller, horror fan, and that is Silence of the Lambs. It's such a good film. Like, it's perfect in my opinion. I absolutely love this movie. Just the acting, the iconic characters that are in this film are just so good. I do prefer this over The Red Dragon as well as a movie. I feel like it is a better film, but you know, it's just my opinion. And I do think it's a movie that deserves to be watched, and I feel like it is a perfect film in my opinion. It's so good. Now, my favorite movie of all time, Catch Me If You Can. This is my favorite Spielberg film and my favorite movie of all time. Well, I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I'd say my favorite Spielberg film is Jaws, but this is my favorite movie of all time. So, I don't know. I guess that kind of like makes it a tie in a way. But I love Jaws as well. But this one for me, it's just a movie that I rewatch on a regular basis. I feel like everyone needs to own this film. Like, it's just so good. The acting in it from these two guys is superb. It doesn't get any better than this, in my opinion. I feel like this is a perfect film that everyone needs to own and watch. Just such a great story, so fun and engaging. It doesn't lack in any places whatsoever for me. It's just a perfect film, in my opinion. Now we got a few more to go. And then we got the Shawshank Redemption. Like, come on. The Shawshank. Surely, you know, this is added to the list. It has to be. One that I haven't actually revisited for quite a while now, but I do recognize it as one of the best films of all time. And I'm sure you guys would definitely agree with me. It is such a great film. It's just amazing. You know, Shawshank. Like, love it. Now, another film, which I feel like might be a bit controversial to add this to the list, but I feel like it's a film for me that's a perfect movie, and that is Fight Club. I truly believe that this movie is a masterpiece and it is a perfect film. The acting is amazing. I feel like it balances out the psychological sort of thriller, like drama thriller side of it quite well to make it not really that confusing for, you know, the regular sort of viewer, so you can still enjoy it without worrying about getting confused and lost with this film. I feel like it does it so well. The storytelling is really good. It's such a cool like concept, such an enjoyable film, and Edward Norton and Brad Pitt in this film are just amazing. Like, they're just so good, and everyone sort of, at least at one stage in their life, has wanted Tyler Durden as like one of their friends to like go and force them to do like really stupid shit. You know, like just fun stuff that you'd never really do, like start a fight club. But yeah, Fight Club is so good. Now, another film. Probably the best Tom Hanks film of all time, and that is Forrest Gump for sure. Like, this film is amazing. I feel like I've said that about every film, but it's true. It's true. It's so good. It's a movie that I revisit just so often. Like, this is probably my most watched film of all time. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this film is definitely probably my most watched film of all time. It's just the story. Tom Hanks. He's such a great actor, and I feel like just nothing tops it. I know they're actually doing a remake or like a retelling of this movie. I'm pretty sure in India they're doing a retelling of the same story, but like an Indian version. I saw, which was quite interesting. I might have to check that out. But it's just a perfect film. I think you guys can agree with that. Forrest Gump. Now we've got Castaway. Now this is another Tom Hanks film. You're probably seeing like a trend here of Tom Hanks films, but he's just such a great actor. You can't fault him. And Castaway, I feel like, is just another perfect film with another amazing story. It's just the thought of him, just the story, like even at the start, I feel like it doesn't lack. It's like the perfect build up. The story just flows really well. What he gets up to in the island is just really cool to watch him, to see how he lives out his day to day and just the obstacles that he has to overcome. And this film portrays that sort of situation, at least to me, really well. It's just perfect. It is a perfect film. I love the story. Tom Hanks again, it's just amazing. Like, I can't fault him. He's so good. But yeah, Castaway. Like, you haven't seen Castaway. It's great. Now, another film that I think is the perfect sci-fi film. I feel like there is a lot of sci-fi films that are considered perfect. There's a lot of great ones out there that you guys are probably thinking, that better be the one. But this one for me, I feel like is just a perfect film. And that is Blade Runner, for sure. Like, this movie is just so good. Like, the world is so vibrant and colorful and just sort of amazing and just aesthetically pleasing to look at. It's just such an enjoyable film to get immersed in. And I love to see more. Like, 2049, it does show you a bit more of what this world is about, but I feel like they need to explore it more, and I'd love to see more, because I like it how but then again, I like it how they give you sort of a little bit, but not too much, like, and it's like, oh, I really want more, because I really love that. I want more of that. But I think this is a perfect film, in my opinion. It's just so good. Like, Blade Runner. And it's one that I think would look amazing in 4K. It's definitely going to be one that I'm going to upgrade to 4K. For sure. 2049 was just amazing as well. Like, the sound in that, the visuals were just stunning. Like, one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. They're both great. But the original Blade Runner for me, I feel like, is the better film in general. Now, I feel like these films are probably, these movies are considered quite overrated, and I know that. But I do feel like they're the perfect sort of, I guess, superhero films. Yeah, like, in a sense, I do feel like they're perfect. There is probably another film in there that I would take over this one more often, but I can't fault these movies, and that is The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. So you're probably thinking, like, Daniel, what about the third movie? Well, as of recently, I feel like the third movie has definitely dropped off a little bit for me. As of, recent sort of years now. But I do think The Dark Knight and Batman Begins are just perfect Batman films, in my opinion, and perfect movies in general, because I feel like the acting is amazing. I mean, Christian Bale is the Batman that I know, you know, like when I grew up. So I guess that does play a big part of it as well. I know a lot of people out there would argue with me and say like some of the Batmans, you know, back in the day were better. But Christian Bale is more of the Batman that I know, because I didn't grow up with that era of Batman. You know, like the only original Batman film I've seen is Batman and Robin, you know, which is not really great, but it's kind of weird. That's another subject. Okay, now I'm like rambling. But The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, I feel like they're perfect films. I feel like they're perfect Batman films and just perfect superhero films in general. Like, I feel like they don't get any better than this, even though I do feel like, in a sense, some people do think they're overrated. I feel like they're on the cusp of that, but you just can't fault them. I feel like they're just perfect. As for the third movie, it does sort of you know, change in that respect. I do feel like it does lack a little bit, but this is a cool little double pack I have here of the two Batman films. But yeah, to be honest, in replacement of that, just because I love the character so much, I would put Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in there, number 1 and number 2, just because I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's, you know, probably my favorite superhero of all time, especially Tobey Maguire's variation of the Spider-Man. But there you go, guys. That's like sort of the stack of movies that I feel like you should own in your collection, or have at least watched at least once in your lifetime. I guess this movie was just, this video was like just a fun little idea I had, something to spark conversation. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to comment down below, and yeah,